still says it's setting it up. Okay, so we are checking to see if we are live, and it looks like, let's see, let's just make sure that we are going live here. Hold on, Dr. Monica.
No worries.
And if you are out there listening to us, it still says it's setting it up. Okay, okay, so let's see if we have. Let's make sure that we are going live here. Okay. Let's see. We're making sure that we're live here. It looks like we are, Dr. Monica, but I want to make sure that we are live on Facebook, and it looks like we are. Hold on just a moment. We're going to make sure that we share this information so that we can touch as many people as possible. Let's see here. Hold on a second, guys. And can you check, Dr. Monica, and make sure that you are tagged in this?
Okay. So Dr. Janine is watching, Dr. Deborah Bryant and Marla Clark. So
let's see. Okay. So, okay, guys. Let's. And can you check, Dr. Monica, and make sure that you are.
Bryant and Marla Clark. So
let's see. Okay. So, okay, hold on, Dr. Monica. We're almost set, guys. And then let me mute it here. Sorry. Dr. Monica, make sure that you. This is not letting me mute. So
just turn it all the way down.
Okay. Okay, guys. So we are going live here. Okay, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and welcome to Let's Chat with Dr. Celeste, MD. I'm your host, Dr. Celeste. I'm your board certified family medicine physician, national speaker, and Amazon best-selling author. I help busy professionals to find healthcare solutions for both their acute and chronic medical needs. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited, so super excited today. I have one of my super friends that is joining us here today to enlighten us and give us some strategies to try and help our kids cope in the time of COVID-19. We know that most of us have been under stay-home order over the last at least 8 to 10 weeks for some of us. And so that has inevitably caused a lot of changes in our household. And as we as adults have had to traverse through this different change and finding a different way to adapt through life, our kids have had to make that change as well. So what I'm going to do first is let her introduce herself. She's a board certified pediatrician with over 14 years of experience. She is also a recent Amazon best-selling author. I'm going to let her introduce herself to you. The name of her book is Be Unique. It's a girl's guide to self-awareness and acceptance. Wonderful book. Introduce yourself for us, Dr. Monica, please.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Celeste, for having me. As Dr. Celeste said, my name is Dr. Monica. I am a board certified pediatrician, and I help busy, stressed out, overworked moms find the time freedom to cultivate healthy relationships with their daughters and grow their self-esteem. I do that with my Premier Wellness, which is a virtual pediatric practice where I provide pediatric care for patients. And like Dr. Celeste said, I also have a book, Be Unique, a girl's guide to self-awareness and self-acceptance. And so I'm excited to be here today to share a little pearls and tips about coping with children during the time of COVID-19. Thank you so much, Dr. Celeste.
Well, we are so excited that you are here, Dr. Monica, especially to share with us your experience and your different strategies. I know that you have a little girl yourself, so no one knows better than you about some of the challenges that a lot of parents have had to undergo over the last 8 to 10 weeks. So let's not hesitate. Let's just jump right into it. The first question I had to ask was if you could just discuss for us or briefly review some of the emotions that children have been experiencing during this time of COVID-19.
And I think that the emotions have definitely been varied. They're up and down. One day is one emotion, one day is different. Initially, I think most of the kids might have been excited. Yes, no more school. Then when the reality hit, okay, but we have to do work. Like this is not an extended spring break without academic responsibilities, right?
Right.
I know my daughter in the beginning, she said, "Oh, mommy, we're not going to be in school." I said, "Oh, but the teacher has sent plenty of work for you to do." So I think that might have been the initial emotion, just kind of, okay, school is out. But then I think it started to hit home. And so it kind of depends on how old the child is. Our younger ones, kind of confused, not really having an idea of what's going on. I talk a lot about structure, and I talk a lot about the days, having your day structured and having a set schedule. So for the little ones, you can imagine, okay, we used to get up in the morning, get in the car, go to school. Now we're not doing that. So I think that that confusion can be there. So having a sit down conversation, explaining, okay, things are going to be different. This is how we're going to do things. And then just a lot of worry and anxiety. I think the mental health aspect has been huge. And I think that we as practitioners, we as family members really owe our little ones a service of trying to explain to them in as simple as possible terms, what's going on, and allay their fears. So they may be fearful that they're going to get sick. They may be fearful that a parent, one or both parents may pass away. They listen so they know that it's prevalent in the older population. So they may think that their grandparent is going to pass away. So I think a lot of fears, a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry. And I think sitting them down, having conversations with them. There's so many tools on the web that you can read a simple story to them, explaining to them what the virus is. It's a germ that could get you sick. It could get, other people sick. So explaining why we're having to practice social distancing, why we're staying at home, why we're making those precautions. So I think that that's important when it comes to that social the emotional aspect of it. And then our graduates. So that's something that I think a lot of the graduates are dealing with, maybe anger, disappointment. What do you mean I'm not going to walk across that stage and all my family come and support me? I know tomorrow we're going to do a drive-by with one of our church members. She's graduating. So we're going to do a drive-by.
That is so exciting. I think that that's one of the best things. If I had to say there was anything, one of the positive things that has come out, the ability to be creative and figure out different ways for us to celebrate one another. And that it doesn't have to be that, we're stuck inside. We've got to live and marinate in that fear. It's okay, let's come up with a creative way for us to do that. And I know that you do that a lot on your show, on your Self-Care Saturdays with Malia and me. Which by far, you guys listen to her show at 4 p.m. every Saturday. You do that with your 6-year-old daughter. You go through different things, different ways, creative ways that I know that you've come up with, that you find things to do with your daughter that allow you to spend time with her and kind of take her mind off into a positive aspect of this alone time that you have together. So I think that's really, really awesome to come up with that kind of creativity. So, okay, let's move on a little bit. So how have you seen in your practice? I know that you run a virtual telemedicine practice where you offer consultation for your pediatric patient population. So how are you seeing in the patients that you've been seeing and some of the parents, how have kids adjusted in terms of, let's say, family dynamics and virtual learning?
Right. So I think setting the schedule and setting boundaries. So for, every home is different. So some homes, they're used to homeschooling, but there may have been just one parent in the home. And that parent may not have been working outside of the home. So having the parent that's working outside of the home now home. So being able to adjust to that, to having two parents home will be one thing. Then some families, both families worked outside, both parents worked outside of the home. So adjusting to that. So you might be used to just one working outside of the home, and now they're home and then both. So I think having an idea of, we want to set a specific area of the home for learning as much as possible. So that it's quiet, it's sacred, it's separate from distractions. But we also want to set the schedules. We want to get up at the same time every day. We want to try to go to bed at the same time. There's so many that are dealing with some sleep issues. So setting the schedule, yes, a lot of sleep issues. And so I really encourage them to have as much of a set schedule as possible, but also give yourself grace, give yourself the time to take a break. You and your child's going to need that break. So I think that the learning aspect, you frustrated, they're frustrated. No one's learning anything, right? So it's like, let's take a break.
Let's go to the turtle farm. Let's get some ice cream, go to the turtle farm, something else.
The outside stuff. So and that's also a part of the learning too. So maybe tweaking it a little bit, so we're learning, take whatever they're learning. If they're learning about nature, they're learning about, sea animals. So we're going to go outside and do a scavenger hunt, right? So we're going to find some plants and things.
Oh, yeah. That's a wonderful idea. And they'll love that, going on a nature walk or nature hunt to find something that they're learning about in school. And that actually works to reinforce whatever principle it is that they're learning with school, which is great. They do something fun with mom, and then they're like, guess what my mom did today,
exactly.
Get in their Zoom rooms and talk. And I want to ask you this question also, with you having gone through the adjustment with Malia, with your 6-year-old, how much of an impact has the change had in how she's learning? With, because I heard, and I'm letting some of the secrets go from me listening to you guys, but her talking about, oh, mommy, I'm going to get inside the Zoom room, and she's able to do it on her own. I was blown away at that.
She can get in there. So her school, and I know every school, every district, every county is doing things differently, but they Zoom 3 to 4 times a week. So she's learned how to go in, change her name, see her friends, scroll through who's on here. It's so funny how she does that. And we've broken it up. So she does her academic day with Zoom. And then there's also a local studio that teaches Spanish, it teaches sign language, it teaches cooking, it teaches singing, it teaches dancing. So that Zoom is not so, just for academic learning for her. She doesn't get tired of it that way. We've been able to make it creative in that respect. So that's how we kind of figured things out in this household.
That is awesome. So you've basically recreated a purpose wherein, okay, Zoom is for education, but guess what? Zoom is for fun.
Exactly.
Having a birthday party on Zoom, which I know that you guys did that with her, which was great. She was able to have her happy birthday sung to her with her families on Zoom. And so it didn't feel as much that she was probably in isolation. So it's a fun thing. And I'm sure she's excited about that.
She got very excited about that.
Oh, awesome. Well, it sounds like you guys are so creative and have come up with such wonderful ways to deal with this time off. Can you help and share with us some strategies for patients to help their children to adjust in the time of COVID-19 changes?
Definitely.
You'd have to add besides all the wonderful tips you've already given us.
So I came up, I used the word calm as a mnemonic when this all started, and I kind of fall back on that. So the C is create, right? So be creative, come up with creative ways to pass the day. That can be from an academic standpoint, but it also can be, we talk about family. So we're with family more than we've ever been with family, right? And so finding some ways to do fun things like karaoke, like game night, movie night, ways to kind of create a distraction, but also create some new family traditions, right? So that's what the C is for, come up with creative ways to pass the time. The A was answer their questions in an age-appropriate way. So not dismissing their questions and their concerns, because they're very intuitive, they're very inquisitive. And so we want to be able to allay their fears, talk with them about what might be going on, the things that might come up in their head, so that they don't feel like they don't know what's going on or what to expect or how to adjust. And then the L.
I'm sorry, Dr. Monica. Do you feel like because you're kind of explaining to them what way to adjust that helps with how they adjust, how you deliver the message to them? How much does that play a role in it? It looks like you're frozen, Dr. Monica.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the delivery is very important, right? So the delivery is important. It's important for it to be age appropriate, but it's also, I like to talk about when I'm with my patients, anticipatory guidance.
I think you're frozen again, Dr. Monica.
Tomorrow, what does it look like going forward? So I think that helps when we answer the questions, and also being very transparent.
Okay.
And say, you know what, I don't have all the answers. Never been through COVID. I don't know what this is like, right?
Right, exactly.
So,
exactly.
Showing the
There's just a lot we don't know, you know?
We still don't know.
Right.
So that's the A. So then the L was listen, right? Listen to both their verbal and their nonverbal cues. A lot of parents are dealing with patients, their children are having some regression. Regression in different areas. So social regression, some academic regression, and even emotional regression. So they may be crying for no reason. They may be angry and start to yell. So listening to those cues and trying to sit down, get one-on-one with them and exactly explain, well, what are you feeling? How can we talk about it? Role play, they can draw out their emotions. And then another thing as far as the aggression and the fears is meditating. I don't think it's ever too young to do that. Starting deep breathing. And then the M is monitor their social media exposure. Because there's so much that they're exposed to. They are, on their video, on watching the TV. They've got their iPad. They've got the social media is just there, and even the TV. And so it may be in the background, but you're doing something else, but they're listening to it. And so they're hearing about so many things, and it's making them even more anxious and more worried. So, tuning out and not having and watching that screen time is really important. So that's what I kind of came up with, calm, the mnemonic for that.
Okay. And do you discuss this in your brand new book, Be Unique?
Talk about as far as calm or which particular?
Calm. That
right. So I talk about the one that I came up with that for COVID. So when, I talked, that was mostly how to keep your child calm for COVID. So calm in the midst of COVID.
That's brand new.
That's brand new.
That's the fresh Dr. Mike. Thank you so much.
That's a little.
You guys heard it here.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So one last question.
Sure.
And then we'll have to look in the chat to find out if we have any questions. And I'm going to have to log on another device. I don't know if you can.
I can look too if you want when you're getting that together and see.
Okay. Are you able to see the questions? I cannot right at this moment.
Okay. Right now they're just comments, mostly just comments.
Okay. So we'll open it up for questions in just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. So last question, Dr. Monica, at this point, and I know that you do go into detail in the first chapter of your book, Be Unique, about building confidence in our children. So can you share with us some strategies at this point to cultivate confidence in our kids, still dealing with some element of the crisis of COVID-19 and being at the start of what's looking like the after? I pause when I say after effects, just because we kind of don't know. We'll kind of know the states have reopened only recently, so we'll have a better idea in a couple of weeks at where we really are. But it looks like we're hopefully looking at the point where we could call it the after effects of COVID-19. So can you share with us some strategies to help cultivate confidence in our kids at this point?
Right. So I think as parents, one of our goals is to be able to instill confidence in our children. We want our children to have the tools to not just survive in life. We want them to have the tools to thrive. So we want to be able to enable them to thrive and be the best that they can be. And I think it starts with you as a parent. So how can you build confidence in your child? It's by leading by example. So I know that a lot of parents are having their own particular worries and concerns and emotional fears as it relates to COVID. So being in touch with your emotions and being able to deal with your emotions in a healthy way. I think it starts first with that. I talk a lot about with self-care, with moms specifically, you have to fill your cup first before you can pour into someone else's. So
Okay.
if I'm going to be able to pour into my child, I have to be able to first be able to be in tune with my own feelings, my own emotions, because they're watching. They're watching what we say. They're watching what we do. My 6-year-old, if I'm, the least amount of stress, whatever, she can see it, she can sense it. And she'll
Yeah.
ask, well, mommy, what's wrong? And I'm thinking, how do you even know?
They know. Children are very, very intuitive. Very intuitive. Dr. Monica? Dr. Monica, are you there? Can you hear
Okay,
me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
You
So
had
it went out.
frozen for a minute.
Yeah, it went frozen for a minute. So if you could
Okay.
answer that question again, strategies to
Okay.
rebuild their confidence.
Right. Okay. So I was stating that, as parents, we want to provide our kids tools to not only just survive in life, but to thrive. And again, if we're able to have them to be confident, we first start with ourselves. So confident parents raising confident children, then the parents themselves have to exude and be able to, so the child can emulate the confidence that a parent has.
Right.
And I know that so many of us, so many parents may be dealing with their own worries and stress and anxiety about COVID. So being in touch with your emotions and having your own time to meditate and to deep breathe so that we can start with that confidence level. And I was stating that they are very intuitive and in tune with what we're going through. And so we want to have a positive outlook and we want to speak positivity. That's the first thing. And the second thing is speak life over your children. There is so much about the power of words, right? And so, they listen to what we say. And if we're not having positive things come out of our mouth about our children, what are they supposed to think, right? So you've got society beating you down, but you don't have a parent that's encouraging you. So I think it's really important that as we as parents encourage them, give them praise, tell them, I know that it's been rough. I know that it's been difficult. I know that we're asking a lot of you, but I'm proud of you. I am so proud of how you've been able to adapt to it. Let them hear that. And then affirmations. I cannot speak enough about being able to see your strengths, be able to speak your strengths, and write them down. Kids are really visual. A lot of kids are visual learners. So, get in the habit of writing it, having them write it down, write it on a sticky note, put it in the mirror. So that's the first thing they see when they wake up in the morning, that affirmation. Put it on the fridge, because I know we're all going to the fridge more. So put it on the refrigerator.
Fortunately.
And right, for the right stuff, I hope. And then put it on the pillow, right, before they hit the bed, before they go to bed, that they're seeing that affirmation about themselves. And you and I both know that our coach talks to us about purpose, right? I don't think it's ever too young to learn about purpose. So we know our gifts, which are those things that are innately to us that we do really well. And then our passion, what we really would do for free, the things that really get us going. And that's our purpose. So if they feel like they have a purpose in life and recognize that they were designed on purpose and with a purpose, then that can build their confidence. And then the third thing, just piggyback on something that they've experienced, a challenge that they've experienced in the past that they didn't think that they would ever overcome, but they did, and give that as an example of the way that they were able to be bold and be strong and persevere in spite of whatever challenge that was.
Oh, awesome. So many nuggets, Dr. Monica. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
That just sounds awesome. Leading by example as a parent, getting our emotions in check before we deal with our kids, knowing that they're watching us, so that the first example they see is us and how we deal with it. So we need to make sure we're in the right headspace and that we've done the things necessary that we need to do, including self-care.
Yes.
Make sure that we're in the right place to be able to help your children learn how to cope with what's a challenging time. I loved your recap about speaking life and positive affirmations. Speaking positive affirmations definitely brings about a spirit of positivity and confidence, for sure, in your children, and letting them know, hey, you are loved, you are powerful, you are creative, you are someone that's meant to make a difference in this world, and following your passion and purpose. And especially speaking to them about that at such a young age, how impressionable would that be? In addition to that, Dr. Monica, you share with us how important it is for us to set a schedule for our kids. and setting aside a specific area of learning, that was really, really powerful, because the child will know, hey, this is the area when we learn, and they are accustomed to hopefully have an area where there are no distractions, and adjusting those sleep issues. Is there anything else, Dr. Monica, you wanted to share with us?
I just think it's just really important that, like we stated before, this is all new for everyone. And so recognizing that we have to make sure that we take care of our mental health and our physical health. I think that's true. It's truly important. We talked about taking that mental break, but even taking that, being physical and getting out. So we talked about the scavenger hunt, but just getting out of the house and going for a nice walk, taking up a new hobby. I think that's the other thing that individuals might begin to do as well. And not feeling so confined, and just really, really focusing on the positive. Get up every morning with a spirit of gratitude. I think that goes a long, long way to helping you cope with the challenges that we all are facing and dealing with COVID-19.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much, Dr.
You're
Monica.
welcome.
So let's see now if anyone has any questions. I don't know if you can see those.
I can see. Let me see.
Anyone have any questions?
On my end, not yet. Let me see. Nope, I don't have any questions on my
end. Let's see. I cannot see.
Okay.
Did you have anything to share, Dr. Monica? I know that the CDC released a report on last Wednesday, I think it was, about a new syndrome that is affecting children that seems to be potentially linked to COVID-19, the multi-system organ syndrome. And so I wanted to find out if there are any pearls or words of wisdom that you have for us as a pediatrician that you could recommend for our viewers in terms of their children, of things to watch out for.
Right. Yeah. So many people might have seen it in the news, was multi-system inflammatory syndrome that they think may be related to COVID-19, and it has some similarities to Kawasaki's disease. So any person that has heard of Kawasaki's, so those individuals have fever, they have rash, they will have a tongue. They call it a strawberry tongue. So it's red, it's inflamed. They'll also have redness and swelling of the extremities, the feet, the palms, and then about 2 to 3 weeks after that, they'll start to peel. They'll also have swelling of the lymph nodes, but usually just one side of the lymph nodes is swollen, and then they'll have redness in the eye, but without the discharge. So those are the symptoms of Kawasaki, and they're seeing some similar symptoms in some patients that have had COVID-19. So again, they're not saying that it's directly related to COVID-19, but a viral response to it. So what I encourage family members to do, I know that a lot of parents are just really scared still to go to the pediatrician, go to urgent care, go to EDs, but these facilities are still open for your child to be seen. And the goal is for the patient to get diagnosed early on so that we can prevent end organ damage. So again, if you have a child period that has any of those symptoms, do not hesitate to be seen. And those physicians that are out there seeing patients, definitely recommending that they get them seen to referring them out as soon as possible. But just again, recognizing that although rare, it can be serious. And so there have been some cases in about 17 states where they've seen it. And so just being vigilant about what to look for, but also recognizing that we need to seek care if we have some concerns. Always first seek the pediatrician to ask questions and know what to look for.
Okay, definitely. Thank you so much, Dr. Monica, for doing that. That is definitely concerning about the syndrome, but hopefully that will be something that we're able to get under better control here in the United States. And the fact that it's in 17 states at this point and not more widespread, we are definitely grateful for that, but definitely praying that we would come to some treatment strategies to help to address that. I'm sorry. We do have a question. Ms. Deborah Bryant. Hi, Ms. Bryant. How are you? Thank you for joining us. So she's asking, what ages is it that it's happening in the multi-system?
Typically, it's in a younger age, but they have been seeing specifically one of the studies out of Italy, they were seeing some older kids as well. So they were more severe and they were older, but it's usually around 5 is kind of like the common age, one of the mean age for Kawasaki's, but again, it can be older. So those symptoms, again, if you see them, do not hesitate to go ahead and be seen so that they can be addressed.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Monica.
You're
We
welcome.
have one more question, and this is
Okay.
from Miss Carol Carlisle.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us, Miss Carlisle. And she's
Okay.
asking, she says, what do you do when you got one that obeys at school to take school naps, but won't do it for her granny at home?
Okay. So there's 2 kids in the home? Is that what it is?
No, she's saying that her granddaughter will take a nap at school, but she won't do
Okay.
it at home with her grandmother.
Oh, that may have been going on pre-COVID because I get that a lot. I get that they won't take naps for the parent. They won't eat for the parent. So that's something that they definitely have. I think that, again, while you're there, having the, scheduled time for the nap, make sure that it's conducive to that. So we're not, a lot of distractions in the room. And then, I believe in, rewarding kids, what? Or granny's gonna lay down. How about that? I'm gonna lay down in one room, you're gonna lay down when we finish. So something that they can look forward to. So if we take a really good nap today, then you get to choose the activity. So I think it helps to give children autonomy. And so choosing your battles, having them some autonomy. So you know what, we get a really good nap today. You get to choose the activity. We'll have them something to look forward to.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much. Anyone have any other questions? Thank you so much, Dr. Monica, for being with us today.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me, Dr.
And away from your family to share with us all of these wonderful nuggets and wisdom. I'm just checking the chat just to make sure we don't have any other questions. It's not that I wasn't listening. I definitely
of course not.
Just trying to. So okay, so we have here. There's my sis. Hey, she's asking a question. She said her son recently had a fever that was concerning. They're able to get COVID tests. However, those tests took 3 to 5 days. Is there something else parents can do or request from their physicians while awaiting test results?
So when we're dealing with patients specifically with fever, they're coming in, a follow-up is always, I always tell parents when to follow up. So that's really important as far as having a conversation. So specifically with fever, we want to talk about hydration. So, are they still hydrated? Are their lips moist? Are their mouth moist? Are they still urinating? Are they lethargic? Are they weak? Are they coherent? So those are the things that we look for. So if you are in the interim and you're waiting for a test result, but your child in front of you, their symptoms are changing, then definitely by all means, we need to do a follow-up.
Okay. So she's saying have close follow-up. Dr. Janine says, thanks for the great information. Thank you, Dr. Janine.
Thank you, Dr. Janine.
It sounds like you're saying to just make sure while the test results are coming back that you check the symptoms of your child for lethargy, checking the temperature and making sure they're hydrating well and looking for signs of dehydration, including the dry, cracked lips or dry tongue, dry oral pharynx area, and making sure that they still stay well hydrated. Let's see. So we're taking one last question here, Dr. Monica. So Ms. Bryan is asking if it's too soon to take the boys to the barbershop.
Too soon to take the boys to the barbershop. So
is it too soon?
Is it too soon to take the boys? So so they're supposed to be having particular practices within the facility as far as social distancing, as far as hygiene. So before I would make that decision, I would definitely find out exactly if those precautions are being handled, if as far as how many barbers are in the facility, what the square footage is, how many people they were allowing. So there are certain things that we must make sure it's being adhered to in that particular place of establishment that's opened up to feel safe to go ahead and have the barber cut their hair in the barbershop.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like you're saying we just need to basically make sure that they're following the guidelines that have been set forth by the CDC.
Exactly.
That if you're going to go out and reopen and start to reemerge into society, the things that we need to do to help protect ourselves, which
Right.
brings us to a great point. This was something that I hit on a little bit on the live that I did on Friday evening, and that was talking about that if you're going to go out and reemerge into society, you just want to make sure those certain precautions are taken. And I think with barbershops, one of the things that I know one of the things they're really, really focusing on and encouraging is the cloth covering or the mask covering for yourself, as well as the barber.
Right.
And then there are different guidelines for the barbershops in terms of whether they need plexiglass or some kind of glass covering or separation between you and that person. How you get to all of that is the part that we're all still learning kind of in that realm, but you just want to make sure, as Dr. Monica has shared with us, that you want to find out how many barbers people are there. You want to make sure, and keeping in mind, we're not saying, hey, everyone go out and get a haircut, but we're saying that if you do choose to make that decision and choice, that we want to make sure that we're doing it following the guidelines that have been set aside, that if you're going to reemerge into contact with others, that you're following these parameters. You don't want to go into, especially if it's not a well ventilated area.
Right.
You want to make sure you're not packed into a room with several people. You want to make sure there's 6 feet worth of distance. I know one of the cutest things that I've seen here lately, besides the drive-by happy birthday, happy anniversary thing, in terms of finding ways to celebrate one another with social distancing, has been, I saw that there was a good friend of mine who recently had a birthday. And she had family or friends over to celebrate, but they did it in the backyard, in a huge backyard, table separated by at least actually 10 to 12 feet instead of 6.
Okay.
It was a small group of individuals, 10 people, 10 people or less, and still spaced out, and people still practicing social distancing with the use of a mask.
Right.
That's the way that if you are going to visit family and friends, and again, that vulnerable population, we definitely want to caution you at all costs, make sure you check with your physician before you reemerge, because there are what we call super spreaders, or individuals that have the virus that when they are positive, they can spread it. It seems like they spread it easier. And so you just want to make sure that you know what your status is. You want to make sure that you're being careful of what environment it is that you're allowing yourself to be in. And that if you are going to go out and leave your home, that you follow that 6 feet away and that you keep the mask covering. So that's been a way that people can allow themselves to social distance. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any other questions. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Monica, for all the wonderful pearls that you shared with us. I know that you have your brand new book, Girls Guide to Self-Awareness and Self-Acceptance. Can you let our viewers know how they can get a copy of your book?
First of all, thank you again so much for having me, Dr. Celeste. I definitely enjoyed having this conversation with you. And the book, like Dr. Celeste stated, is Be Unique, A Girl's Guide to Self-Awareness and Self-Acceptance, and can be purchased at www.buybeunique.com. That is BUYBEUNIQUE.com.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Monica, for taking time out of your schedule to be here with you. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this today. We're so thankful and grateful for you coming on, Dr. Monica, and sharing all of your wisdom with us. Guys, you can get her book again at her website that she left there. We'll put it in the chat to make sure you guys have it. You know who I am. I'm Dr. Celeste, your board-certified family medicine physician, national speaker, and Amazon best-selling author. I help busy professionals to find solutions for their acute and chronic medical needs through my concierge and virtual medicine program. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to say have a good Sunday afternoon. Hope you guys are staying safe. If you are leaving your home, please don't leave without your mask, and don't forget to keep that 6 foot distance. Thanks so much. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.